Hello everybody. Actually, it's your girl Cheryl. Oh my god, my eye. Why is this happening? I'll be more professional now. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Cheryl. If you're new, welcome to the C Squad. Over here we do beauty, fashion, lifestyle, vlogs, and a bunch of university content. So if you like the sound of that, then hit the subscribe button below, follow me on Instagram, and join the fam. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining me again. So a few months ago, I had one of my subscribers DM me and ask me about my experience living in the UK and adjusting to weather and health insurance and making friends and all that stuff. And so I wanted to do it a little bit closer to the time that people would be going to uni, so that's why it took me a while to make this video. But today I'm just going to be giving you guys all the tips and tricks on being an international student in the UK. So let's get right into it. So the first thing is packing to live in the UK. My number one tip would be to carry sentimental things with you. So what I did is I had two suitcases. One of them was just filled to the brim with all my clothes, and then the other one had a few of my clothes, and it also just had a bunch of items from home. If you guys watched my university room tour, of which if you didn't, it'll be linked down below, I basically walked you guys through some of the stuff that I'd actually brought from home. So I carried my fleece blanket that I absolutely love, one of my pillows, my jewelry box, some desk organization items as well. And I did this just so that I wouldn't feel too far away from home, that there was still things that reminded me of home in my room. So I really recommend that. Another thing is, obviously as an international student, you cannot carry pots and plates and utensils and duvets and all that stuff because you just don't have the space for it. So you could go into the city and buy all those things, but for me, I just thought it would be way too overwhelming. So what I did is I actually bought a bedding pack and accommodation bundle online and had it delivered to my university. So I will link the store that I used. It's called My Student Shop or something like that. And I know they definitely deliver to University of Sussex, but I'm not sure about other universities, but you guys can check that out. It came with a duvet and pillow and pots and pans and plates and everything that I would need, and so that was really helpful. Another thing I want you guys to keep in mind is to think carefully about the clothing that you're going to pack. I know for me, I just kind of wanted to pack everything because I genuinely do wear a lot of my clothes when I'm in South Africa. However, because of the cold weather, it really became impossible for me to wear half of the clothes that I even brought. I had this really cute denim jacket that I think you guys saw in my outfits to wear after lockdown video, and I did not wear it once when I was in the UK because it was freezing all the time. So you definitely have to think about that. So unless you're going to be in the UK over summer, most of us will only be in the UK for the 9 months of the term, and to be honest with you, it's kind of cold during that entire time and it only really heats up during summer. So what I would say is definitely rethink some of the things that you're gonna pack. Any like skirts or shorts. I literally packed a skirt that I only wore during Freshers Week, and I guess I could have worn it with leggings thereafter, but for me, I was just way too cold to do it. So yeah, you just have to rethink those items and leave some things. And if you're coming back in December, then you can just sit and think, okay, do I really miss this item? Do I really wish I had brought this item? And then you can always pack it when you come in December. I know when I came in December, I realized that I really should have packed my onesie, so I definitely got that and took it back with me. But yeah, you're also just gonna realize that there are a lot of clothes that you are maybe not gonna wear because, I don't know, campus style is not really a thing. Like most of us just wear sweatpants, so definitely don't carry stuff that is just unnecessary because it all adds up. My bags were both overweight and it was just bad, so don't do that. Adapting to UK weather. Now, I don't know if there's really a way to adapt to UK weather. I don't think you really can. I think I can just give you guys tips on how to deal with it. So the first thing is, if you absolutely hate rainy weather and you don't leave your house when it's raining, you should not move to the UK because it rains like 90% of the time. Like, it's always raining. And it's so funny because Brighton is one of the sunniest cities in the UK, and literally you'll see the sun, but it will either change so quickly that it'll be raining in the next second, or it's just freezing in general. So you definitely need a raincoat, you need umbrellas, you need a hooded jacket, and yeah, you need to get used to doing things in the rain. I remember my flatmates and I went out one time, I think it was during Freshers Week, and we're literally walking to the club and it starts pouring, you guys, like literally pouring, to the point where I'm pretty sure my makeup just like melted off. So definitely get waterproof makeup. Like, it is just, it's always raining, so you need to prepare yourself for that. Another tip I can give you guys is to layer. So if it is cold, I'm definitely going to be wearing like a thermal vest on the inside, a long sleeve vest, and then I'll wear a shirt on top of that, and then I'll wear a sweater, and then I'll wear my big puffy jacket, and then I'll wear some thermal leggings and pants or sweatpants or whatever over it. And I know that sounds like overkill, but guys, it was freezing. Like, you actually need to do that. So layering is always a good idea. Another thing that I noticed was that when I came back, I went to the doctor and I found out that I have a vitamin D deficiency, which is interesting because I had my blood test done a few months before I went to the UK and everything was like completely fine, well, aside from my iron deficiency. But yeah, so it's interesting that in the time that I've been in the UK, I've actually developed that. So definitely you're gonna need to take supplements, and I'm also looking into getting one of those vitamin D lamps to help out with the situation, because obviously when you're low on vitamin D, your energy is even low and it's just not a fun time. So also keep that in mind. The next thing is getting your BRP. So I touched on what a BRP is in my How Much It Costs to Study in the UK video, and basically your BRP is a biometric residence permit. What happens is when you get your visa, you basically get a month from the time that you are arriving in the UK, and you have 1 month to get into the UK and to collect your BRP. You can collect it from a post office or from your sponsor. In this case, your sponsor is your university, and that literally is like your visa. Essentially, it is what allows you to be in the UK. It's what allows you to travel from here to the UK or from another country and back to the UK, so you really do need it. I would say with the BRP, avoid carrying it at all costs, because if you're just carrying it around with you and you lose it, it is a nightmare to get back. It is super expensive, and then it means that you cannot leave the UK until you have it back, because if you leave and you don't have your BRP, you can't get back into the UK. So I'd recommend that you keep it with all your important documents, like with your TB test and with your passport and all that stuff. Like, keep it in that and avoid carrying it. A lot of people carry their BRPs and lose it because obviously to get into nightclubs you need IDs, and clubs can be very finicky about the kind of IDs that you give them. But I will be speaking more about the ID thing later on in the video, so continue watching to hear about that. The next thing is health services, which I did touch on in my How Much It Costs to Study in the UK video. But basically at the end of your visa, you pay a certain amount per year. I can't remember the amount, it's in the video though, but you pay a certain amount for the number of years that you're going to be in the UK, and that basically allows you to have access to the NHS, which is the National Health Services in the UK. So essentially you're kind of, well, if you were a UK citizen, you'd be getting free healthcare, but technically because you already paid for it, you're not really getting free healthcare, but you do have access to what is the free healthcare. Keep in mind that you still may have to pay for vaccinations and for dental appointments and all that stuff, but for the most part you can go and see your doctor and you won't be charged for that. So one of the major tips I should give you guys is to register with a doctor ASAP. So basically at Sussex we have an NHS health center, so I just did like a form online and I registered with the doctor that way, and you should really do it like as soon as possible, as soon as you have an address for where you're going to be staying in the UK, because if you don't register with the doctor and then you get sick, you cannot go and see the doctor unless you have registered, and sometimes that can take up to 3 weeks to process. So imagine if you're sick and you haven't registered and now you're like stuck for 3 weeks being ill. It's not a fun time. So yeah, definitely sort that out as soon as possible. If you guys are thinking about studying at University of Sussex, I will leave a link in the description box below, and that will have a link to how to apply and register with a doctor at the University of Sussex. They also recommend that you register with a dentist. I have not, which is probably bad, so yeah, you might also want to do that. So I also wanted to talk about prescription medication. If you are already on prescription medication in South Africa and you don't want to change it or see a doctor and have like your medication changed, you basically cannot use a prescription that was written by a doctor in South Africa to get medication in the UK, and you can't do that with any other country. So basically, if you contact your medical aid and you ask them to process like a script, let's say for example your doctor's given you a prescription for 6 months, you can contact your medical aid and ask them if you can take out the full 6-month prescription, and then you just fill out a form, and that's how you can get your medication. I'm not gonna lie, my dad did most of the process, so I can't really give you guys like a step-by-step, but that's essentially what you do, and then you can get your 6-month prescription. They only do up to 6 months. So yeah, so then when you come back, hopefully for Easter or in the December holidays, then you can re-up that prescription. Another thing I wanted to talk about was banking. So how do you set up a bank account? So some banks like Barclays allows you to apply online before you're even in the UK, so you can definitely do that. However, I bank with Santander, and what I did is during Freshers Week at University of Sussex, they actually had an event where Santander came to the university and helped us set up our bank accounts online. However, I would like to mention that it definitely took them a while to process the bank cards, and also you could have your bank card delivered directly to your address, or you could go and pick it up from the bank, but it definitely did take a while. It took a few weeks. So basically what I was using to just like pay for stuff is my Standard Bank account. So I had gone into, you can go into the Standard Bank app and you can just like allow it for use in other countries. And then I also had one of these like international bank cards. Like if you go to Standard Bank and maybe you're going on a trip overseas, you can put like dollars or pounds or something into that card, and then you can use it internationally. So I had a card from when I went to Singapore and Malaysia, so my dad just topped that up, and that is what I was using. But I know one of my friends, while she was waiting for her Santander bank account, she was using Monzo, of which I don't really know that much about Monzo, but I think they process things a little bit faster, so you should be able to get your bank card faster than other banks. But yeah, those are your different options with banking. The next thing is Freshers Week events. So guys, I know everyone during Freshers Week just wants to go and party, and I totally understand, and I'm with you on that. However, there are some really important events that you should go to. They have events for international students. Well, at University of Sussex they do. They have events where they give you tips on studying in the UK, living in the UK, and just like general advice that's really important. And you can also meet a bunch of other international students there, so it's a really good opportunity to connect and to learn some things. Also at University of Sussex, we actually had an event for transfer students, so students who were transferring into second year, and that was also really great for meeting people. And they kind of just gave us a tour around campus, and it was like a really helpful event. So definitely check out those events. Don't just be going to parties. Now moving on to making friends, I would definitely recommend that you guys join some Facebook groups. At University of Sussex, we have a freshers group, and also we have accommodation groups. So for example, I was on the Norwich House accommodation group, and so I met a lot of people on there, and I kind of figured out who would most likely be in my flat using my flat number. So I did chat to 2 people in my flat beforehand, and that was pretty cool. Another thing is on a moving day, I know this is super hard, but I would really recommend to like just leave your door open, get like a doorstop and leave your door open, so that when people are walking through the flat, you can meet people, you can say hi. I know on moving day I was a wreck, you guys. I was actually in the pits. The only time I talked to someone in my flat was when I was asking one of my flatmates if I could borrow his scissors to open up my boxes, and yeah, that was literally about it. And then at some time later on, it must have been like around 4 p.m. like mind you, I'd been there since like 9 a.m. but later on in the evening we got some knocks on our doors with some promoters trying to sell us some Freshers Week wristbands, and so we ended up all going to the kitchen. That's when I met people, and that's when I started talking to people. So your first kind of group of friends should be your flatmates, because that's just easier. And a lot of people are going to be nervous during Freshers Week. It's a lot of people's first time away from home, and so yeah, definitely hang out with your flatmates, go out to events with them, but also don't close yourself off from making other friends. During Freshers Week, I remember my flatmates wanted to go to a party in town, but I wanted to go to the one on campus, so I ended up going to the one on campus by myself, and I was standing in the line, and then there were these group of girls behind me, and so I started a conversation with them, and then because the line was so long, we ended up leaving and going to Northfield Bar, and so I was pretty much just mingling and like talking. And one of the girls I met, I'm actually still friends with, and we literally went out together, I think one of my last nights out in Brighton, and then they ended up going back to their flat because they were tired, but it was like around midnight and I was like, the night is just beginning. So I ended up going back to the party on campus, and when I was there, I don't know how, but I basically met like a group of people, and I met this girl who once again I'm still friends with. I was chatting to her just yesterday. So yeah, sometimes like don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I know going out by yourself is not for everybody. I'm pretty used to it, so it wasn't that big a deal for me, but yeah, put yourself out there, but also don't force yourself to make friends during Freshers Week. It's not like one of those things where you're gonna meet people on Freshers Week and be friends with them forever. Do you know what I mean? Like, your friend groups will evolve over time, but just try and have people to hang out with during Freshers Week. And then obviously there are opportunities to make friends with people in your classes and your course, and I've said this in my Fits Freshers advice video, but you know, if you're going to go to a lecture, try and sit next to somebody, start asking them about their life and how they're doing and all that stuff, and you can meet people that way. And then one of the big things that I think makes your university experience is joining societies. Like, you can make friends with people who have the same interests as you or similar backgrounds as you. If you're Nigerian, join the Nigerian society. They don't have a Zimbabwean society, so I'm in the African and Caribbean society. If you like to dance, join a dance society, join the Waves Cheer and Dance. If you, I don't know, if you want to be on radio, join URF. If you are really into Doctor Who, join the Doctor Who Society. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many opportunities to meet people and make friends, and societies is really the best way for that. Now, moving on to homesickness. To be completely honest, I was never really homesick when I was in the UK, but I think it's because I did the following things. Firstly, I kept myself busy. I think you only get homesick when you're sitting in your flat by yourself and you're feeling lonely, and that's when you start missing people. I was so busy. Like, first semester, I was the busiest person. I was going to every event. It wasn't even like alcoholic events. I would go to sober socials and just meet people and hang out, and I was always hanging out with my flatmates and stuff. I also made it a habit to keep in touch with people, so I would text my mom every day so it didn't feel like I missed her because I was literally chatting to her all the time. And I would make sure that I FaceTimed my brother every week, and that was really nice. So yeah, just keep in touch with your friends from home and your family. Another thing is talk to other people. Talk to your flatmates about how you're feeling homesick, because chances are they're also feeling homesick. So if you guys need to support each other, that's definitely a good way to avoid feeling homesick. So the next thing is transport. So I've never really taken public transport in South Africa. Like, I've never even been on the How train, but I do take public transport when I'm like in Europe or when I went to America and stuff. But I feel like whenever I took public transport, I was never really paying much attention because my parents were there and I would just kind of like do whatever they're doing. So it's a different experience to be completely by yourself sometimes and having to figure out how to navigate a city. It can be really hard. So I guess my first thing would be get help from other people. My flatmates really helped me like figure out like the train system and the bus system, and even when I was trying to go to Heathrow Airport from Brighton, they helped me figure out how to get there. So yeah, definitely get help from others. Another tip that I'd like to give you guys, which probably sounds really stupid, but I needed someone to tell me this when I was there. Basically, when you're going in the bus, try and figure out which direction you want to go in, because I got on a bus and was going completely the wrong way, and I was like, wait, I'm going away from campus, I'm trying to get back to campus. And yeah, that happened to me quite a few times. So definitely think about it with the bus. Google Maps is really helpful, because if you type in Google Maps and you put like the little transport thing instead of the walk or the drive thing, sometimes it shows you which buses you should take. So it'll tell you you need to take the 25 to go this way, so you don't end up going on the wrong bus. So that's really great. Another thing I'd like to mention is Ubers are expensive, guys. And living in South Africa, I Uber everywhere. Like, I literally am an Uber queen. But in the UK, I really can't do that as much as I usually do. So sometimes I Uber from cheer practice back to my accommodation because sometimes I don't feel like walking the 20 minutes, and that is about a 5-minute trip, if not less, and minimum it costs £6, which is like 120 rand. And I feel like 120 rand is like at least a 15-minute trip here. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is a lot of money for a 5-minute trip. So keep that in mind. You might really have to get used to walking and get used to the public transport. Now, as far as getting traditional food, I'm not someone who really eats like traditional food and all that stuff, but if you're looking for jollof rice or pap or whatever it is, usually in cities they have kind of like cultural shops, like African shops, where you can get that kind of food. So being a part of the African and Caribbean society is really helpful because usually people who have been living in that city longer than you will have tips and places that you can go to get that kind of food. So yeah, that stuff is available, and I'm sure it would help you guys with homesickness. Now the last thing is getting an ID. So going back, I had told you guys not to carry your BRP. It's a bad idea. Basically, I've been getting away with using my Zimbabwean ID to get into clubs and stuff, but that's probably not the best idea because I don't want to lose that because I don't have the energy to go and get another one. So what I'm actually going to do when I get back is I'm going to buy a provisional license. So literally you just order this license for £34 and it gets delivered to you. You don't have to do any kind of test or anything. Like, you just get the provisional license and you can use that as a form of ID for any clubs or any liquor stores or whatever it is. And at least with that one, if you lose it, it's not like so expensive to replace it, unlike your BRP. And if you lose it, you can always just have it delivered to your accommodation, instead of if you lose something that you got in your native country, now you have to go back to your native country to get it, and that's not feasible. So definitely do that. Another thing I wanted to touch on is your national insurance number. So your national insurance number allows you to basically get a job. So if you want to get a job, you need that, and so I'll leave a link in the description below for how to apply for one. Sometimes your NI number will be on your BRP, but for me it's not, so you do have to apply separately. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I literally gave you all my tips. This is like everything that can help you, but if you guys have any more questions, be sure to comment them down below. You can also DM me. My DMs are very popular, but if you think it's something that can help other people, then definitely comment it down below so that everyone can gain from the question. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to join the C Squad, and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos. I post every Wednesday and Sunday at 5 p.m. UK time. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!